Before we begin, thank you very much to I Love Armada Hotshot and Armada Sideswipe. I mean it! For joining the Patreon campaign. You can make me say I mean it. It does not mean I mean it. We've been through this. It's like, I think this is like the most common shout out is to get me to say I love the toys I absolutely hate. But thank you very much for the support. Thank you for the contribution. You're at the $5 tier, so enjoy the TJ TV archives. Thank you very, very much. Very appreciated. So we're not going to do toys. We're not going to do Sentai or Tokusatsu or anything, or Transformers, anything like that. We got to talk the new cartoon that debuted, which is Gameoverse, or Gameoverse. Let's get this pronunciation correct, because I've heard weird pronunciations of it. Gameoverse is a project from Ross from Game Grumps fame, along with Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps fame. So, is a project that is very them. The problem is those guys happen to be into a lot of the same stuff that I'm into. So this show, more than a lot of other indie animations, feels very targeted to me. You know, like, I like Murder Drones. I love the Digital Circus, which shame on the idiots for leaking. Treat the creators better, please. But also Knights of Guinevere. You know, like, there's so many good indie animations that are just, a lot of them still in pilot. But this one hit me particularly hard. Not only because I love the style of it, but I also love the theming of it and the design work. And I'm going to go over this. We're going to go over this a lot. So, excuse me if I do one episode for me, because this is just so I can get all this off my head, so we can move on to other Transformer topics. But we're going to start with just like an overview. Keep in mind, if you have not seen the pilot, please consider going and giving it a watch. The more views it gets, typically the easier it is for it to get picked up by a company that can fund the show. Or the ad revenue can fund the next episode if it does it really well. So please go watch it and understand I am about to spoil everything because I want to talk about everything. And that starts with our characters. So we start with the pro tags, which are Kit and Caboodle. And I love that for many reasons. It falls into the 3D platformer name conventions I really like. You know, your Banjo-Kazooie, your, Ratchet and Clank, your Yooka-Laylee. You know, I love when they're doing that. So we have Kit and Caboodle. And yes, this is where we start acknowledging this show is very Mega Man coded, which I absolutely love. Aside from just Kit's design, definitely has Mega Man armor vibes to it, especially like the boots and the arms, easy. But she's also got an arm cannon. She has an arm cannon. But also that name convention does match up with Mega Man as well. Rock and roll, I was trying to think of another quick. I was trying to think of another quick beat, hit, 1-to-1, and it just flushed out of my brain. Point being, you immediately are going to capture my interest when you go with that design element, especially because this also seems very Ratchet and Clank, having a backpack character who ends up being your little bit more surly sidekick. And it's a really nice dynamic. You have your trauma-induced heroine, Kit, having watched her own planet blow up to the same villains that they are now trying to beat. We have plenty of that. We have plenty of trauma to wade through. But otherwise, very heroic character. Like, I do really like the design. I like the character herself. And Caboodle's fun too. Like, he's a little bit more grouchy. He's a little bit more cynical. He is the more serious of the two, and they play off of each other really, really well. It's a really nice dynamic. Oh, and yeah, they have an armor up sequence, which again feels Mega Man X. It feels a little tokusatsu. And I don't know Ross or Aaron and what they think of Tokusatsu, Kamen Rider, etc. So I have no idea how much this goes into. It might just be a cool armor up sequence. But it also includes the grid background from Galvatron's upgrade in the 86 Transformer movie. Obviously, I'm going to notice that immediately. That's incredibly intentional. I don't know their Tokusatsu preferences. I do know that Aaron Hansen is a huge Mega Man and Transformer nerd, so this is absolutely something he would put in here. But no, God, like, and this is one of the first sequences. We started this show with a really, really cool fight sequence. And like, this is the highlight of it, is the armor up. It's like, it's the equip, and it's so good. This is that moment where I noticed, like, oh yeah, this show's for me. It wasn't even the fact that, like, there's a Mega Man X, like, health bar visible in the fight scene for Kit. But no, this cemented it. Yeah, I love the pro tags so far. We have an extended cast, which includes Gobbles. And Gobbles is, like, from, like, a Leapfrog game. Like, he's from a kid's education game. And I like how we kind of dance along the genres, right? So we have a 3D platformer, Mega Man, Ratchet and Clank coded, and now we have a learning game. He is described as a Learnosaurus. And that's what he does. He learns. And, like, even in the course of this one episode, we do see him grow and learn as a character, to where he was very fearful when we start the episode, but he is actually learning to be brave and learn to be heroic, which is interesting to see such quick development. But I'm actually curious, as they continue to develop him, how much that learning ability can actually come in handy. How, when they're visiting these different worlds and trying to save them in a very interesting way, we'll get to that. What can you do with a character who is solely designed to learn and adapt? That is actually a lot more handy in one of these kind of adventuring storylines than you might think at first, which I really, really like. That has a lot of potential. Also, I know, like, I can't really count the henshin sequence, the combination thing, the armor up, as Tokusatsu reference, but when it is followed by this, he's not pink, he's magenta, now it feels a little bit more pointed, doesn't it? Don't think I didn't notice that. I can't prove it, might just be the same joke. Don't know. But it does feel very specific, doesn't it? And then we have to talk about the one who rounds out our main cast, and that is going to be Flappers. Flappers is the most Aaron Hansen coded character I've ever seen. I feel like every time he does like a goofy character on screen in an episode of Game Grumps, he is Flappers. He is just doing Flappers. So not surprised that he actually put that character, that voice, into a character into this show. It's one of those characters whose bit feels like it gets old and starts getting annoying, but through the contrasts of things like his fighting ability and getting like super buff when he gets serious, but also the fact he is really effective as a hero at the same time, like, it grows on you. Like, and by the end of the episode, like, yeah, like, that's just his character, and I enjoy the character. It's weird to go from, oh, this is an amusing character that could probably get annoying after too long, middle of the episode, like, okay, now it's gone on too long, now he's getting on my nerves a little bit, and then move into the finale, the third act, and go like, no, I'm on board with this character. It's a delicate balance, but I'm happy they hit it. So, main cast, great. Love that. Love them. We have extended hero cast, which includes Dusk, I believe the name is. Dusk seems to be either a higher agent or the guy who runs the Farcade, the heroes organization. I don't know why. He looks like an elf Alucard, but he does. He is surprisingly sinister in his one appearance for someone who is supposedly on the good guy side of things. The plot of this series is fascinating. And again, we're going to get to that. We're just going through character right now, which I also have to include the Nimble. The ship as well is a character which is a funny one as well. And it is a transforming mech. It is it's a cat-head spaceship that also has a robot mode. Aaron Hansen is a Transformers nerd. I do think it was cute that like its self-repair is just hitting itself with a wrench. Because there's a lot of video games where like the repair the machine animation is literally just hit it with a wrench. That way we don't have to animate an actual repair sequence. No, it's a funny one. I liked this. Oh, and that'll come into play later too. If we move into the villain cast, we have Misinformation, who I love the amount of sass she has. I love that she breaks into tutorial mode to just annoy Fold, the origami guy next to her. It's a great little touch. They have a really fun dynamic as well, where they're both serious about the task, but whereas Fold is a little bit more the goofball, trying way too hard to impress the boss. Misinformation is more collected, but also what's a good way of phrasing this? Like, I don't know. She's more snarky about it, I guess, is the way to go about it. But no, it's a fun villain dynamic. She's fun herself, but also I really like the idea of Fold as an enemy threat because he's made of paper. So whatever you could origami is something he could potentially do, which can make him rather lethal in certain situations. It also allows for great mobility. Do you need a mini submarine? Do you need a hang glider made of a paper airplane? Do you need a telescope? You can do all that. So yeah, it's an interesting way of working a shapeshifter in. I do like the concept again. And then we get into the big villain. We don't have too much on him aside from he's like, Warwick is both a very serious, intimidating villain, and I really do like this like Frankenstein design he has going on, both in armor and body, apparently. But I also really like there's this like deathly serious nature to him, especially like in the ending. But also like this weird, like almost like there's almost like a care for his minions as well. Like Fold, he just strangles for screwing up his job. But then you also have Miss Crab, who's just a weird like one joke character in one scene. But he's very much like, we need to find training ground for our new for our new member. Yeah. Also voiced by Chris Sabat, because if you can, why wouldn't you? Here's the best part. One or more references to the 86 Transformers movie. The crown stomp. Especially the part where he grinds it into the ground by twisting his feet. This is, again, very much a very spot-on reference. Still cool to see. I did include a slide of Miss Crab, too. Just in case you wanted to see her. I'm curious. He's weirdly protective of her, which has me very curious as to how she is going to be used in future episodes. So the idea here is that let's keep going. We got one more slide to go because we also have to talk about these two. So these are the ones that Kit fought in the opening fight scene, which was kind of shown like a final boss battle of a video game, like to the point where they had two phases, like an individual form and then a combined form. And they do make for some really sinister design. I really love the design work to them. Like watching the big guy eat the cat girl in order to combine is horrifying. Like I for a second I thought, like, if we have another Knights of Guinevere where this is just like a bunch of robot gore, that might be a little much. But no. They play it off really well. It's a very creepy scene. It's really makes me look forward to what else they're going to do with them. And it's good that with all the trauma Kit has to process, even in this pilot, that she already has a foil on the other side. Like, she's going to have a rival villain that they get to explore, and that's going to tie back to her past, her homeworld that's gone now. Yeah. And speaking of, like, we can get into that finally, which is the overall plot. And I think this is fascinating. So, your hero cast is trying to help the bad guys of the video game worlds they visit, whereas your main villains, the people in Syntax, are trying to help the good guys beat the game, which is not normally how things work. But this is almost a reboot style plot, where the things going on internally in a game are actually given visual representation as part of the story, and that's actually a really fascinating thing. So, for instance, if you think about the usual lifespan of a modern video game, so let's say you bought something on Steam, you installed it and you played through it. Maybe it took you a few days to finish. Maybe you took a slow path, or it's a very long game, took you a few weeks, even like a month. But for however long it took, you enjoyed the game, you beat the game. And then what happens? If you're anything like me or the other people in my life that I know, that game sits on your Steam library installed just in case. That was a really good game. I might let that sit for a month or two and then go back and play it again. Maybe I'll try a different route. Maybe I'll play Renegade instead of Paragon. Maybe I'll go for all the achievements. Or you leave it installed because you love the game and there's still a few reasons to keep playing. Maybe you didn't get all the secrets. Maybe you want to achievement hunt. Whatever. But eventually a new game comes along. Most of you don't return to that game. Most of you wait until the next cool game comes along, realize that your computer does not have infinite hard drive space, and uninstall the game. So beating the game usually means that game world that you created, that universe you created by turning the game on, no longer exists. It's gone. And that's what we are visualizing here. And that's a fascinating approach, because there's also the aspect of Syntax claiming that the rules of the Gameoverse are unfair and he wants to change it. So do the bad guys have a good goal? It's very hard. When you start thinking about it, it gets hard to unpack who the real bad guy is here. That's fascinating to me. We get to see some of the rules of this. When they visit a world, they immediately have to adapt to the world, and that lets them interact with it, but they cannot they cannot do physical harm to the game world themselves. The characters are locked into their own universe, essentially, that you cannot cross through, at least not to do harm, from what it seems. And if you verbally make them aware that their world is just a game, then this happens. Everything freezes and the entire planet gets angry and starts looking for the ones who just disrupted reality. So even the mention of this world is just a video game and it's going to get destroyed if you actually complete the game, that alone leads to really, really scary circumstances. Again, fascinating. I'm also fascinated, I guess you have to show what happens when the hero does beat the game, but it is fascinating for the first episode to feature not one, but two apocalypses. It's bookended by ends of the world. So Flappers, again, goes through the same crisis that I assume Kit went through, where, he kind of has to cope with the fact that him seeking victory actually led to the destruction of his world and the loss of everyone he knew. That's a really horrifying thing. You had to show it, because you had to show the circumstances. You had to show the cost, right? You had to show what they're fighting for. I mean, and it's a fascinating way to start. The tone is so different from what you'd expect. The villains win in episode 1. What do you mean the villains won in episode 1? But we do see Flappers escape. So Flappers is part of the main cast. which I'm happy to see. Like I said, I overall like the character themselves. What's also fascinating about this is like this is how Syntax apparently wants to rewrite the rules of the universe. When the world is destroyed by ending the game, then they can start interacting with it. And what's left over is absorbed. It's something they call float. And I have no idea what it's for. I have no idea what they intend to use it for, but it seems like it's either the residual energy or the residual data of the world that got destroyed by beating the game, and I have no idea how they intend to use that to change anything. But I presume there's a good reason for it. I presume there is a use for it. So it's interesting to see. It's fascinating to think that, like, I have to watch the villains win in order for the world to be saved. Huh. Why the worlds have to be saved when Syntax is trying to change the rules so this doesn't happen anymore, I don't know. I don't know. Like, again, when you start thinking about it, it gets hard to tell who the good and bad guys are. And I love that about this show so far. I also really like a lot of the little references that got thrown in. Every episode feels like it's going to be peppered with this stuff. I love how they play with normal video game logic. Like, yes, characters can shoot fire underwater. Yes, lava can exist underwater. Of course it can. It's a video game. We saw it in Mario. For how many years Mario could shoot fireballs in the underwater levels? The underwater levels sometimes had the big fire stems. It's like, yeah, this is stuff I've seen in a video game. You just don't think about it too hard. Just kind of ignore it. And then other references like the arcade light zappers. Seeing the light guns, that's a really cool little trick to throw in for the main weapons of the ship. We get to see Kit go through a lot of different outfits when she first arrives on Flapper's planet. And it's just like a flick of the wrist, and she just switches into these different designs, and they all have vague references to them. One is a little bit Assassin's Creed or Prince of Persia. One is a little bit Street Fighter. This one is very much Metal Slug, or if we're sticking to indie video games, Mercenary Kings. Either or, like, it fits the vibe of a video game, and I love that it basically promises every episode is going to feature fresh designs for Kit and also for Misinformation, because she switched to a bikini to go down to Planet Side. And other little references that we spot in. I love the idea of like putting in a video game overworld as kind of almost like an ellipses, like if it's just a period of time that has to pass, it's like a fast forward button, and it's a really cool way of showing like progression and like passage of time very quickly. That's actually a really good idea. The one that I loved was the power-ups. Every now and then they would pull out like health regen items. And what was fascinating about that is it was different for everybody. So like Gobbles is the one who pulled out the juice box because for him that is the health item. Works for Kit, but that is his particular version of it. You know, when the Nimble has to repair itself, it's a hammer. When Misinformation needs to give Fold some more extra health, it's a bottle of glue. And I love that they play with that because you immediately get the idea behind it every time they pull out the power up. But it's so different for everybody. I love how it's like contextual for like the game they came from. Like little touches like that tell me that the show is going to be very detail driven and very fascinating to pay attention to. It's going to be one of those where it's almost a digital circus where I'm probably going to want to rewatch it after I've seen a full season so I can catch all the things that were like sprinkled in throughout the series. But yeah, I had to talk about this show today, not only because like it's a fantastic show, but it is very me coded. The Transformer references, the Mega Man aesthetics, the art style, like there's very little about this that does not hit me in a very, very good way. And this is basically just me adding a very small voice to what is already a very loud group of people who seem to love this pilot. So if you haven't seen it yourself, please go check it out. I know I just spoiled the whole thing, but it is still worth it for the visuals, for the fight scene at the front, which is great. The fight scenes are actually really cool in the show. And just all the extra work that went into it, because like everything is just spot on. Voice, sound, music, animation, choreography, everything. It's extremely well done for a pilot. And yeah, that's just kind of me just putting my 2 cents in. So thank you for letting me indulge. I just wanted to talk about a cartoon I really liked today, so thank you for letting me get away with that. Yes, we'll do something robot-based tomorrow, I promise. But thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.